Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to U-Turn, a podcast where my friends and I discuss issues related to our community. Our contributors today are Kwal Byung and Alaki, and the episode is focused on living abroad while mentally in South Sudan. I hope you enjoy the show. Please like, share, and comment. That is how you can support us. Back to the table, ladies and gentlemen. Kwal Byung, you have asked the question: are South Sudanese in diaspora mentally focused in South Sudan?
The answer to the question is yes. We as South Sudanese in diaspora, and I would say, when I say diaspora, there are so many places where South Sudanese are, but I will focus on the western part of it, the western countries, because majority of us in the western countries are actually citizens in those countries, unlike other countries in Africa where South Sudanese are. So what does that mean? Are they really focusing more in South Sudan than where they are? Yes, they are, and we have seen that. And there's no, it's not a fault to focus on your country. It's not a fault to try to be part of the community you were born in, you originate from. Much of it, as we have seen, the country going through a lot of challenges. South Sudanese in the diaspora, especially in the West, have contributed a lot in terms of money, in terms of other material, and in terms of advices, in terms of taking care of their parents and their siblings and other family members. And this taking care or helping come in terms of, taking people to East Africa or some of the to the Northern Africa, and having them rent and pay the school fees and actually dealing with the medical fees and everything that come with it. And we have seen that they are contributing toward this because they mean good for the country, they mean good for their people. The question then is, are they overdoing it? Are they doing it at their expenses?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is this, like, are they doing it more than they could have done?
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the real deal is, and this is where I will comment later. But yes, we have seen much of it. Like, let's say if there was any rain, there's a flood in the country, or if there's any fighting, there's anything, South Sudanese have contributed money to help people back home. South Sudanese have gone there personally to go and be part of the community, helping them. So yes, they are engaged, and we have seen it, we have experienced it. Many of us are part of that engagement. And yes, we are really fully involved in South Sudan mentally, and we are physically here.
Thank you. I can feel now Kwal Byung. Do you agree or do you disagree? Are people more involved in back home issues than where they're living, especially the diaspora in West?
I would have to agree. Just thinking back about on our days in college, we spent quite some time, conversing about the country South Sudan, and to me, it appears as a dream because you move away from your country, and you have that dream of coming back home. You know, it's almost like we're romanticizing home and what it's supposed to be or what it looks like when we go back there. And without knowing, we put too much energy and effort and money towards this dream without having that reality check. What about your immediate surrounding? What is happening there, and how should you take care of yourself better? Because the reality is, we talk about as if we're going to leave tomorrow morning and go home, but that's not the case. For example, most of us have been here for over 5 years. That is a lot of time.
If I'm going 10 years, I think one day you must be decade.
I'm hitting 13.
Right. Of course. So not necessarily good or bad thing. It's just disproportionately focusing on other place other than your immediate environment could be, harmful and self-neglecting in a way.
That's really good to hear. And I want to come back to Paul Denbyung, and you raised an important question before. You said, are we overdoing it? Is it really a mistake, like us living our life in two different places? Like doing work or one young GM Billy, a question. Young witch, your quarter, pin no quella pan, yanda, who quella pan, when they're going to get it. Not a call them future one imping. Is it good thing or is it bad thing? Are we overdoing this?
Pretty much, yes. I would say we are overdoing it, and the whole thing is about the capacity to do what you want to do. As South Sudanese, we have the willingness. We have so much willingness to help our people. We want to see them in a better shape than where they are right now. We look around where we live. We are living peacefully. We have much of what a human need can actually entail here. But when we look back, there's a lot of call that you receive that are really, really heartbreaking. And we want to do better than that. But and that bring like difference between having a will and having the capability or capacity to do what you want to do. And this is where the overdoing coming in. We go beyond our capacity to try to solve the problem. For instance, you would find someone here in the diaspora, let's say in Canada or in the US or in Australia, actually sheltering the entire family. Maybe in Kenya, let's say, that person is actually paying the rent. That person is paying the school fees of the kid. That person is actually in charge of the emergencies like hospital bill, like traveling, and much of small personal effect that are required on the process. Now, if you calculate that in terms of how much that person earns here, the salary of that person here, you will realize that that person is actually living below his or her salary. You see? Yes. So you find someone is actually going beyond even in going in debt, like borrowing to make sure that some of the problems are solved. And that debt is actually left on your shoulders. You need to or you need lawyer when we below a project when we below back home. So how do you come out from that becomes or that space you have just created for yourself? You put yourself in the negative to try to solve the problem back home. Do you have the capacity to come out? Do you have a space even or time even to follow up with your career? So this is where we as South Sudanese need to look at the willingness to help and the capacity to help and see whether these two actually match. You see, because here, this is one thing that we don't actually tell our people back home. Majority of us actually don't actually come up front to tell about what is here. Here is like the rent you are paying here in the West may actually be half of the salary you are actually earning.
Imagine.
Now, go into the phone bill, go into the car insurance, go into the gas that you use in your car, go into other other amenities that you need to pay within your house. By the end of the day, you will realize that 75% of your salary goes into your living here. So the 25% that is left should actually be invested according to here standard, should be invested in some of the things that you should do to help you be a better person, like following up with a career, like going on, let's say if there's any showcasing or something that's happening, a career event, you should have a plane ticket to go there. Yeah. You should have money to attend certain things. You should actually go on a vacation. Are you doing all those? I'm talking about individual person. I've not even had any family members in your capacity. So, but then you will realize that what we actually send home or how we actually help actually take half of what we have.
Yeah,
so if you do math, you will realize that we are in negative.
Like it doesn't add up.
It doesn't add, math doesn't add up.
Okay. I like it. Wow, Ben to that. Yeah, but what if there's something that is also coming out in the sentence. I know personally when I first visited South Sudan in 2019, and actually people I used to send money were actually way better than I was in terms of mental health, physical, and everything. They were living like they change your manicure every 2 weeks. Weekend I can get one kind of time because I didn't have the budget and I didn't have good clothes. And they were the ones saying, "Oh, you got I Google why I'm question." But I used to send the money and they're actually living way better. So it appeared that even our people misuse that generosity, but that will be another question. I just want to throw it back to some of your points in Bella Dunangin call. Bell send a bit out. So if you call approach opinion from that perspective of, as focusing on our families, back home relatives and siblings and everyone else at our own expense. What are other ways our people here in diaspora mentally attached or mentally really tethered back home?
Yeah, so beside finances, of course, there are other ways we are, contributing to South Sudan that is sometimes to our own detriment and to people back home. And one thing is involvement in politics. And I'm gonna say this because ideas are really powerful and they do affect people's lives. Something you just mentioned on Facebook, as if it's a joke, somebody on the ground is seeing it as exactly as something. Let's say you're suggesting. I'm gonna talk about Kachir Tong or Loy Tong Kemke tribes. Go around on Facebook, Kubuku Jam, Glowalai. Tadano on Koika, Lukukela, quite on the ground in Bikalo, they'll be like, yeah, a very wise person. We see their post, wobble or twing, and we'll do action on their behalf. So I'm just saying the ideas can be dangerous. So being involved and being cautious should be known. And trying to intervene in government affairs should be a serious matter. I don't think we're taking it very seriously, right? Nigerian politician, let's say in Canada, you don't even have any involvement in politics, policies, whatnot, and you're directly comparing to Maybai or to Mayban, that can achieve law according to the way they should go. I would strongly suggest practicing, like draw your things from experience, involved in the local government, try to enforce change, try to change things, and then you can go and apply them to your own country. Also, considering these are like I would say that circumstances go on modern government systems. And when we give ideas or advice or take a stand in conflict times, it needs to be really examined. That is one way. Another way that I can think about we are involved back home is solving problem. When you provide, people take you as the leader of the house and they bring you all kinds of issues that need to be solved. And there's something called a compassion burnout, where you feel for people are sick, there's conflict, you want to help them, but you actually are not able to help them. So that does affect mental health, which is not normalized in our community to talk about. And I did train a mental health professional. It can really take a toll, and pan can survive na chilui kubalu clear mind, right? So those are other ways we're involved back home that affect both sides.
Thank you. This is really interesting. I actually put myself some restriction, but that year work and get a food were quite from people bound kind of stressful, but right in India. That mental health part. Because you believe you are in the middle of the night where you need to run around, you thought, how will you manage that, right? Or someone top and our king is nearly dying, and those things for sure they take toll. And I will come back to the point that I cut off, and it's still on this same topic. So we have a project from economic perspective. Do we have the capacity and means to actually respond to our will to help our people? That is economic. We have also addressed it from political perspective. Are we really engaged politically back home, even in tribal politics, right back home, instead of engaging in politics in Canada, going to town halls where there are election and participating actively here instead of there. So we have also addressed social issues too. Human issues ben dowry one we pour our heart to it, we even forget ourselves. So then back to you. Continue to give out more points. This is very interesting. Is it really, are our people really settled here? I know 20 years in, are we settled?
Well, no. Majority of us are Louis settled. Louis settled beginning on Bika.
Yeah.
When Bika majority of us came with the mindset that we are just finishing whatever we came for. That is the school actually, and then we are going back. Mm-hmm. I think that took long before many of us realized that this is not going to happen. I think, and it's not happening because, and this is where I'm going to give you a little bit of a letter of Jeremiah in the Bible.
Tell us. Talk about Bible here. Now I need to listen very keenly.
I think it's Jeremiah. I think chapter 29 or something. This is Bible, mm-hmm. And it resonates with us because Israel's, let's say Jewish, were taken to exile by force anyway. It's different from us because we came voluntarily. But majority, the Israel, the letter to exile from Jeremiah, Babylon by force.
Mm-hmm.
And now, located in Babylon, they actually have a hope that in some years coming, their God will as soon as possible. So one located and Akib and Louis integrated. They went and have like a separate lifestyle. They pray separately, they live separately, they eat separately. They don't even want to know what is happening. In fact, they have the test of the local, the panorama, because I've got Jeremiah, Prophet Jeremiah, Gelatin, if he cannot do something, then they may actually regret it. So he wrote a letter, and I'm going to read a little bit of that letter. And he says, and this is chapter 5, 29, verse 5. It says, build houses and settle down.
Amen.
Plant gardens and eat what they produce. Exactly. Marry and have sons and daughters. Find wife for your sons and give your daughters in marriage, so that they too may have sons and daughters. Increase in numbers. There, do not decrease. So this is just an example of what the letter says. He's advising them to settle down, integrate in the society, and be part of that society. Okay, I think. Why? Because it's going to take a very long time before they come back. So why am I bringing that? It's exactly going back to the point that I said. Mentally prepared to go back. We love our country. It was the first time we have a country. We have a country suddenly, but majority left when we still have Sudan, which we still want to go back to. I think we want to be like those of Dr. Garang who came abroad, finish their school and go back. and contribute.
And be heroes.
Yes, yes. And then that's when it all started. That everything is about mindset, you know. It teaching them so that contribute but just work, go to work, go to school, and then everything you want, planning loiben, a housing with a bill, everything when is sending back home, and all your contribution political, social, and cultural, everything when by majority actually you really need to look around and see where you are and realize actually you are actually a citizen of this country and that you can actually be part of this country. There's a difference between a visitor and a permanent resident.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have some people right now out of 10 years, then a governor can a problem in time then
okay.
not governor can a problem in time. Why? Because I care about what's going on, and that bring to the issue of psychological effect when because we don't actually understand the system, and this is where integration come in. And kind of a different. And his system you can understand properly. Where will you find something you really need? Like how the school system look like, how is political system look like, how is the culture, how's everything. If you don't find out, or even big school, and you don't even know the system in school, you will end up actually being in the space without being actually like you are like in the vacuum, whereby you are not in any way attached to any of the sides of where you are. That many of people realize lately that actually going back is not happening. Because why? The investment one is not working. In the same situation 10 years ago, nothing has changed. You have also realized that the country actually it's a different path that you're taken to the point that integrating, maybe you will need a job, which you may not even find a job, maybe in a school like I thought. Maybe school be like I told that. The career being a kaital na lot to that a guy. What did you actually study in school? I have a guy, almost 20 years by I don't know what you got. Then I'm looking a lawyer. Kakaben guy drama majority of our people affected in the diaspora, which majority of us back home, Akiki understood exactly what has gone wrong, and we are about to actually witness the results of all that miscalculation.
Good.
So I will get it back to you, the host. But yes, we have a lot to do here than back home, because it in Iran anyway. I think na chingi kwario kakapinyala ben and badu goody if the lwen la kapal biyot tongmanjang biyot mean you leave a lot of wheat around you. So if the rare thing with chingi low, then a come to Jakawan Gachat Yoda Yalo big low cry. Etongmanjang.
I like it. Jumping at the barrier because it looked like a lot of wheat. And you could probably in our surrounding. It's called so Sudan can fix politically, socially, economically, and now it's starting to rain on us in a way when that is very scary. Personally, when I came here, I also had that mindset. I actually wanted to finish school and go back home and make difference there. So I actually, after I finished my undergrad, I reached out to like 3 people in South Sudan. I was told that they had to look for a job because I wanted to go and get a job. So go like job government really you need connection. Well, quite don't pay well. So actually reach to people working in NGO. One person I mentioned for the SEC. I reached out to a colleague Iran Wendy Iran very inspiring. I work in UNICEF and I chose somewhere like young Juba, and he was very generous this time. He asked me to send my resume. Give me advice on how to fix it so that it look good. I fixed it. I applied for a couple of positions, but I did not get called because they need like master's degree. So I went for my master's. And then I realized actually people back over my caliber are actually PhD holders. So competition wasn't even adding up. So I ended up after masters, I ended up finding a better job here, a better deal. Well, we give up of going. But of course, my mind was all there. What the
Just to add on that,
yeah.
not even just about even a job, it's about even the pay, just like you mentioned.
Yeah.
So if you earn 60, let's say, or 55,000 a year here, you will realize that a job you're doing may not even add up to that. Okay, yeah. One of the things, so and also a will a ngak a ngich a tung mon jang will rana there ten ngich chubak ke tok no wako.
That's why
chi ngich na bar kule dum wako ka chi ngich so kai rare ten ke ang jen pire ten ela twengadi na chi adak that mean na kang chi rai they will know how to go around na jo jal ba den ki ran jala kai tingu jo le jala with job kin ki job ka yo go job ba jala yo ko pay less, let's say ye ki $200 a month from 55,000 a year to $200 a month. You no, that's not going to work. So it's one of the issues that actually make people actually hesitant to go back, I think, because it's not working at all. Yeah. A mismatch.
And of course, to be honest, that is a big mismatch, right? And going there to look for a job actually shows some people, and they were laughing at me like, why am I not coming to start a business and employ people? I was in school just like you, I didn't have saving. And people don't understand. I'm like, I want to give it to you to tell us your experience and what are some of the things you think are way forward?
Before I talk about way forward, I'm running video chatting. I go on TikTok sometimes. Some girl both from one country from Africa, and she was talking about poverty and how to define poverty and how it is like region specific. You ran a apartment and in Norway, people would generally think they're richer than ran to buy. So just wanted to mention that being in this country and having things that people desire is not necessarily out of poverty. And that is something we need to remember. Wouldn't engage our survivor's guilt. Walk above from the refugee camp. And being out of that situation, you feel like you should do more to like lift others up. But you cannot lift others if you don't have enough resources, enough capacity, enough money for connection for that matter. So yeah, just the American dream that Anglo Kiro realized, and we need to wake up. Actually, focus on the situation, and book I think in the same light I think is hurting. Let's say Lost Boys at Japan, maybe Koju Japan specifically, Louisville, they go back, like millions of money, thousands of dollars, work at least college. We have thousands, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of student loan debt. Achieve them is not the same. And everybody has the same expectation of problem solving and jumping in and helping people the same way Lost Boy people do that. I don't think we have the capacity to do it. So it's better to focus on the immediate environment and getting involved, like Twig said, that we don't even know our local government representative because we are in denial. 7 or 5 stage of grief, we have been in denial for a long time. That we're citizens of this country, and to live a decent life, you need to learn about your environment. Like go to the city hall, follow up on local news, what is happening in your area. and how that affects you. What is the economic news, opportunities, careers? Your career will die in 5 years, your career emerging, and what you can make more money out of it. So being grounded is so much important. There's no need to stop people being quite big of point, but at least 1 year old point. There's no need but just bury yourself and that is into debt, so much debt that you never recover. And when you explain, people are shocked. Like he said, "You been loy. We in America is a government where to quick business and I'm so glad we're talking about this, because that image is simply not true. It's far from truth. And in fact, if we talk money, most people are worse off than they used to be. Like the bank account was zero back then, or no bank account, but now bank account is minus something.
Exactly. Very scary.
It is crazy. So Iran interest, you can find anything to contribute. You like politics, you go to the city hall, run for office, or just be a public servant, work for the government. Yeah.
Thank you, Alakira. And we have 1 more minute, Kwaldembium, for closing remarks. What can you tell our diaspora people, especially Konan children? But I mentioned that we are so much detached from this system that even Mitko are falling in the crack of the system. Go water on live shows, go on Louis Sudan fix. But what could you Mitko what could you a bully, what could you carry okay, imagine careers when being a man to channel. I look at, mistreated and want the bigger culture, bigger die news, dear bull launching of uniform at home. So what message can you tell those people here in diaspora, and what can you tell our people back home? They have so much expectation of us, but they really don't know. While whatever mention like this, what a negative. So it's something that they should know. we are beautifully broke, and it's something that they should know.
I'm actually going to tell that to myself too, because I'm a part of the bed that are flocking, and we have to get serious, to be honest. Abaluela kaye tetaka jatare aye ran kaye kran sa nyu sa yeluela today mit ke yin kon kadang taun during emergency kuba mandu ajabe yegum kadang wankan. It's not because in a man, or it's not because in a more than a man. It's because if the chi in a quantary chan kuba wega inchi man ha chi kon. On the process of trying to help that young child, you may actually end up actually dying on the process, and there's a high chance the be man also been a part of that death. So in a case, mass first, so how does that actually fit into this context? It fit in a way that if we are not mentally sound here, or we are not physically sound, or we are not actually living a life, we may not be able to help our people back home. And that starts with you actually. It's not because you are selfish. If you have a credit loan, like let's say your credit is negative, and then you want to put that money into your credit, it's not because you are selfish. It's not because you don't want to help. It's because if you don't survive, then in the next few years you will not be able to help those people. So first of all, a self-investment, which we can think, you need to know around you exactly what's going on. What are the careers that are coming up? You actually need to ask yourself, is your career actually on the line